John McCallum says, let them eat cake. I'm Brian Lilly with the Rebel.media. John McCallum, the immigration minister, is living high on the hog while the people that he is so proud of helping are relying on food banks. We've been telling you the story for months now about Syrian refugees across Canada, people that were promised to come to Canada. It'll be the land of milk and honey. We'll take care of you. We'll look after everything, while these people have been left in the lurch by Trudeau and his Liberals. Because they're not taking care of everything. Benefits are not showing up, not benefits that were promised, and people signing leases on the condition that they would be getting certain benefits, on the promise they'd be getting certain benefits from the Trudeau Liberals, and then they're left going to food banks? It doesn't make sense. But in the midst of all this, John McCallum is making sure that he's looking after himself. Check out this posting on his proactive disclosure form. Back in May, John McCallum having a dinner for 6 at the Royal York for $648.05. Now, the practice from Treasury Board is that you include taxes, but not gratuity. So that doesn't include the tip. 6 people, $648.05. That means $108 per person. But let the refugees go to the food bank. That could have looked after a family for a whole month for terms of extra food. But for McCallum and his cohorts, it was one meal. 3 government workers, 3 guests, talking about immigration issues at the Fairmont Royal York Hotel. Now, this is a beautiful hotel, and on work once, I had the occasion to stay there. But I'll tell you, I don't eat at the Royal York when I'm in Toronto. I think I've had a drink in the lobby bar just to say I did. But I don't ever recall eating there because the place is so expensive. So I went online to look at the menus. And depending on which restaurant John McCallum went to, it doesn't look good for him and his buddies. First off, let's check out a restaurant called Epic. The menu looks great. Scroll through it with me and you can see some of the lovely entrees that you could be having there, including the Digby scallops and pork belly with morel mushrooms, ramps, chicharron, and ramp leaf gnocchi. It's $45. It's not cheap by any means. Maybe it's not expensive by Toronto standards, but $45 just for an entree? That's more than most Canadians are going to be paying when they go out. Or what about the Alberta lamb shank? It's a couple bucks cheaper, just $42. You get some steel-cut oat risotto, some spring peas and onions, Montfort Toscano, and mint gremolata. I don't know what that is, but mint and lamb, delicious together. Scroll down a little bit lower and you'll see their steak prices. They range from $48 for a 5-ounce sirloin to $85 for a 4-ounce Japanese Wagyu steak. Never even had one of those. I hear they're fantastic. All told, just looking at the prices on this menu, for them to get the bill up to $108 per person, there probably had to be a lot of booze on that tab. And if that's the case, as I've said before, let them pay for their own booze. That is the practice in the private sector now. Nobody pays for your booze when you're on the company dime anymore. Very few companies are willing to do that. You go out and you have a bottle of wine with your meal, or a couple of beers, or a few scotches, well then you're paying for that out of your own pocket. The company will pay for your meal when you're traveling on business, but not the booze. But then there's another option, one that McCallum, whom has self-admittedly had trouble with alcohol in the past, maybe he wasn't drinking a lot. Maybe he was in one of the other restaurants in the Royal York, like Benihana's Japanese Steakhouse. Check out the prices at this place. And this would be even more troubling. If you're in charge of the refugee file and they're off at food banks, how would it look that you were spending $83 on the Samurai Treat? That's a Chateaubriand 10-ounce steak with tiger shrimp. $83 just for that. Or the Shogun Feast, Chateaubriand with lobster tail. $88 a person. None of this looks good on McCallum. None of this looks good on a government that says they're standing up for the middle class and those working hard to join it. This is about, well, as I've said before, when it comes to the limos, when it comes to paying for the photographers, a government that is very quickly getting cozy with spending your money. These sorts of things normally take time. With the current crop of Liberals, it's happening right away.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.